The little girl came out of nowhere, her small shoes slapping against the pavement, as if she were running from the end of the world itself. Her hair was tangled, her cheeks red from cold and fear, and her breath came in broken gasps. When she reached the police station steps, she didn't slow down. She nearly collapsed into the glass doors, pounding with all the strength her tiny body could summon. Officers inside would later say they had seen fear before, but never like this. Whatever waited at her home was something she could not face alone. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of compassion, take a moment now to like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this exist because ordinary people choose to care. Her name was Emily Carter, a 7-year-old girl living in a struggling neighborhood in the United States where hope often felt thinner than the winter air. She was raised in a Christian home where prayers were whispered at night and Bible verses were taped to the refrigerator, but faith had been tested hard in recent years. Her father had passed away unexpectedly, and her mother, Sarah Carter, had been left to carry the weight of survival alone. Bills piled up, work hours were cut, and the small apartment they lived in slowly fell into neglect. What Emily knew was simple and terrifying. Something was very wrong at home, and today it felt worse than ever. The officers noticed immediately that Emily's hands were shaking. Her coat was far too light for the season, and her eyes kept darting toward the street as if she expected danger to appear at any moment. She was not lost. She was not playing. She was pleading. The urgency in her body said more than words ever could. Without hesitation, 2 officers followed her, guided not by procedure alone, but by instinct and empathy that had been sharpened by years on the force. As they walked, Emily led them through narrow streets lined with aging houses and tired trees stripped bare by winter. Every step seemed heavy for her, as if returning home required courage she barely had left. The officers scanned their surroundings, expecting signs of violence or intrusion. What they found instead was something quieter, something far more devastating. The apartment building stood worn and overlooked, its paint peeling like it had given up trying to look presentable. Inside, the hallway smelled of dampness and old dust. The lights flickered weakly, casting long shadows that made the place feel colder than it already was. When they reached Emily's door, she stopped short, her body stiffening. She did not reach for the handle. She simply stood there, trembling, as if crossing that threshold alone had become impossible. Inside the apartment, the air was heavy and still. The furniture was sparse, the heat barely working. Dishes sat untouched, laundry piled in corners, and the quiet felt wrong, the kind that presses against your ears. On the couch lay Sarah Carter, unmoving, wrapped in a thin blanket that did little to protect her from the cold. Her face was pale, her breathing shallow. She had collapsed hours earlier from exhaustion, dehydration, and untreated illness, her body finally surrendering after months of pushing beyond its limits. Emily had tried to wake her. She had shaken her gently, then harder. She had prayed the way her mother taught her, small hands folded, voice trembling. When nothing worked, fear took over. That was when she ran. The officers moved quickly, calling for medical assistance, checking vitals, doing everything they could while waiting for help to arrive. Emily stood frozen near the doorway, watching adults take control of the situation she had been forced to face alone. Tears streamed silently down her face, not loud or dramatic, but heavy with relief and terror mixed together. Paramedics arrived and rushed Sarah to the hospital. As they carried her out, Emily clutched a small cross necklace around her neck, the same one her mother wore every day. Neighbors began to gather, whispering, some shocked, others ashamed. Many had seen Sarah struggling. Few had asked how bad it really was. At the hospital, doctors confirmed what years of stress had done. Sarah's body was malnourished, weakened by untreated infections and chronic fatigue. She had skipped meals so Emily could eat. She had ignored her own health to keep a roof over their heads. She had prayed for strength every morning and collapsed every night, hoping tomorrow would be easier. News of what happened spread quickly through the community. Church members who had not seen the family in weeks began visiting. Social workers stepped in. Donations of food, clothing, and support poured in. The same neighborhood that once walked past quietly now stopped to help. each person realizing how close tragedy had come. Emily stayed with a foster family temporarily, a kind Christian couple who filled their home with warmth and reassurance. Every night, Emily asked the same question in her prayers, asking God to let her mom come back. And slowly, with treatment and rest, Sarah began to recover. Weeks later, when Sarah was strong enough to return home, the apartment looked different. Not perfect, but cared for. The fridge was full. The heater worked. The walls held new reminders of hope. Emily ran into her mother's arms, and for the first time in a long while, the future didn't feel so frightening. Before the story ends, take a moment to comment below and share what the story made you feel or who it reminded you of. Your words can be a light for someone else who is struggling silently. Sarah never forgot that day. She never forgot the fear in her daughter's eyes or the courage it took for such a small child to run toward help instead of hiding in fear. She rebuilt her life slowly, with support, humility, and gratitude. She spoke openly at church about asking for help, about how strength does not mean suffering alone. Emily returned to school with a brighter smile, her innocence bruised but not broken. If this story touched your heart, moved you, or reminded you to look closer at the people around you, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps spread stories of kindness, awareness, and second chances. Sometimes heroes are not loud. Sometimes they're 7 years old, wearing shoes too small, carrying fear too big, and choosing love anyway. And sometimes all it takes to change a life is someone willing to follow.